landfill.com.
Hey, neighbor, when you talk, others listen. If it's on Good Neighbor Talk, keep it here. WGNS, AM, FM, online. We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Welcome into the Roundtable, WGNS. I'm Andy Herzer, founder and executive director of First Shot Foundation. I welcome in Tommy Davison, also known as Good Time Tommy. He is one of the first people that I saw a shift in how he went about his business, and we're going to talk about that a little bit this morning with Tommy. Welcome in, Tommy.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Tommy, when you grew up here in Murfreesboro, talk a little bit about where you grew up, how you grew up.
I grew up in the Hopgood Elementary area, which that's an area you're very familiar with. That's why going back over there for First Shot was really cool for me. Went to Hopgood, and I lived in that same house from the time I was probably 3 or 4 years old until I graduated. So that little pocket of Murfreesboro, which now it's starting to become cool again. It was cool in the 70s, it sounds like, little brick ranch houses, and it's special. That area has always meant something to me, and from there I've stayed here all my life. I've lived within 35 miles of where I grew up my whole life. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, Tommy graduated from Riverdale High School.
Graduated from Riverdale and Middle.
At
Not a great student, but I did graduate.
You know, sometimes those are the ones that always turn out the best. Tommy, tell how you chose to get into real estate and why.
Well, I was a very, very unsuccessful stockbroker, and I called on John Jones, who was he was always a hero of mine because he went to Riverdale. He played football at Riverdale. He went on to play in college, and whenever he was in high school, John's about 5 years older than me, he was in the newspaper, and he had a mohawk. He had this cool look, and I always followed him because of that newspaper article, that picture. And John went to Tennessee Tech. Then he got into the insurance business, which he wasn't very good at either, he says. He was like a claims adjuster. Really wasn't a fit for him. And I was calling on John to invest money with me. I wasn't very good. I wasn't very polished. He didn't take me serious. I didn't take me serious. But John did say, why don't you come work for me? So he recruited me from dying in that business to becoming a real estate agent. It is actually at Coldwell Banker, but later now it's John Jones Real Estate.
So, Tommy, when you look at that time in the financial world, what did you take, besides you said you weren't very good, what did you take from that experience and now are using today? Because I think we learn from all ours, whether we fail, whether we succeed, we take things from what we've learned. What were the one or two things you took from that?
There was probably only one thing, because I was not very good at it. There's one thing I did take from it was there's a Series 7 test that you got to pass. And if you didn't pass it, you were terminated immediately afterwards. I was never a great student. I barely graduated, but I did graduate. I did prove to myself that I could take a big test. This was like a 3 or 4 month test I had to prepare for. So I did prove to myself that I could actually learn and pass a test. That was important to me, by the way.
So you're on John Jones' team at Coldwell Banker. I was calling on you as a mortgage guy, having to come to the John Jones meeting because of Calvary Bank back then, knowing I wasn't going to get any of y'all's business because you already had cemented relationship. Talk about the early going as a real estate agent on John's team.
Well, the business was so much different back then, and John mastered the print marketing. He was great at He had a full page ad. He was in all the magazines. So the business was actually a lot easier for me back then than it is for people today starting out, because John just kind of bought the market. I think he was spending like $6,000 a month for those newspaper ads. Well, back then people would call you. As our business has evolved, my buddy, one of the guys that works on our team, Josh Harrell's on here. He is phenomenal. Like, if I had his skills back then, he's 22 years or 23 now, I think. I asked him that. I keep forgetting. But now today, my guys, they've got to reach out. They got to make a lot more cold calls because of internet leads and people are shopping on there. Back in our day, when you're in this business, it was a lot more incoming calls. And I was terrible. I mean, I can't believe how many opportunities that I blew that they called me, where my guys today, they've got to create their own opportunities. Huge difference. So much harder today than it was back then.
What are the keys to the cold calling, do you think, Tommy?
I think, number one, you got to do it. You got to commit to it. You got to be disciplined. And we teach our guys how to make the same repetitive, boring calls over and over and over. It's just like, how do you become a good free throw shooter? How do you become a good jump shooter? It's the same thing, but the hardest part of cold calling, I think, is just getting beat up, getting hung up on nobody answering. It is a very, very, very low success rate, but I think the biggest benefit from cold calling is it builds confidence. It builds your courage muscles, and it takes a lot of commitment. So whenever you make a lot of phone calls, sooner or later you get a lot better at talking to people. So it teaches you how to communicate.
So as a assistant coach at the low level, I always said we had to have about 50 calls a week to 50 different recruits just to get one. Mm-hmm. What's that number like for your guys and ladies that are on your team now?
It's a lot higher. It's a lot higher than that.
I know,
but they could come in there and they could call 100 people and nobody answer, or they could call 100 people and 3 people answer. I would say, I will brag on Dan Elam. He's a competitor. He owns Elam Real Estate. They've got a great inside sales department. They can convert about 4% of their calls, but a lot of that may be also incoming. In my business, if you can generate 1%, a 1% conversion, easy math, one out of 100, that's pretty good. Because I think we've got about 12,000, close to 12,000 people. Well, yeah, let's just say close to 12,000 people in that database. And there's plenty of people for you to call. One good lead a week, or one good lead a day, one good opportunity a day can change your life.
So, Tommy, when you look at this, is there just one kind of, I guess, personality trait that you are looking for when you're putting a new teammate on? Is there something that you're looking for in them?
Being coachable. If they'll listen, if they don't come in there and they're not know-it-all, good attitude. It all begins with a good attitude. So if we can take somebody, even if they don't know a lot, if they've got a good attitude and they're willing to learn, what we do is not, I mean, it's not like we're doctors in there. You know, anybody can learn how to become a better communicator. So if you come in there and you're just open to learning and learning it the way we want to do it, because our system is duplicatable. We've gone through a lot of coaching. So Josh Harrell, Eli Delk, they're on here. I don't know if any of my other guys are on here, but I need to be able to teach one person that can teach everybody. And that's kind of the way it's been built. So, no, you don't have to have any great skills, just a great attitude.
When you say that, I think all the people that I've met off your team have a skill of communication. They have learned it through you. So when you're saying they don't have to have any great traits, they have to become great communicators, what does that look like to be a great communicator?
I think being able to predict how other people are going to respond to what you say is very crucial. So you got to build this awareness. What I'm saying, is this going to penetrate them in a good way or a bad way? I think that's probably the most important thing, is being able to predict what I'm going to say to you. Is this offensive? Am I attracting you towards me, or are you going to not like me? Because our business treats the people that they like the most unfair. If I like you, I'm going to be more favorable to you. If I don't like you, I don't give you a chance. And I think that's the way most people are.
I think you do another great thing, and I've heard you on it, is overcoming objectives. I've said no to you. How do you flip that no, that objective, into a yes?
Well, you can't turn everything into a yes. So that's the first thing. Not everybody's, if you're not interested in something today, I'm probably not going to be able to convince you otherwise. But a lot of people are guarded today, and whenever they meet somebody that's trying to sell them, they automatically have what's called sales resistance. Like if you walk into Dillard's and somebody walks up to you and they ask, is there anything I can help you with? Your brain is kind of programmed to create distance. I'm just looking. So we begin everything with listening. Got to become a better listener and understanding. So I've got to understand, more empathy. Hey, I understand you're just looking. You got to move into that. So you got to learn how to move to their feeling and not make them like put up the sales resistance. And then you've got to find out what the real objection is, because most people don't know the real problem why you're not going to buy something. So the unspoken problem is the biggest problem.
What are some great qualifying questions to ask someone to kind of get that guard to come down, Tommy? Is there someone out there listening that wants to be a salesperson?
Well, I want to know about people's current situation. Like, tell me about your current. For us, it's buying a house. I need to know. Well, tell me about your current situation, because if you own a home, I'm going to treat you different than somebody that is in a month-to-month rent. You know, month to month they could have more interest. But the greatest qualifying question is discovering their dominant buying motive. What is the reason? What has motivated you to want to do this today? What is it? Because people buy for one of two reasons. They either fall in love with it or they've got a big problem they need to solve.
So, Tommy, let's kind of shift gears here a little bit. I think I can remember back when you were choosing to be coached yourself. Mm-hmm. What made you go out and find a coach yourself?
Well, I was broke at 35, going through a major recession, had to move in with my mom. And at that point, I had to switch my belief to thinking one day things are going to happen. At 35 years old, you've got to start looking and taking a lot of accountability about the result. Where am I? And at this time, a coach did show up in my life who's one of my best friends, Michael Burt. He started coaching with John Jones Real Estate in 2008. Very difficult time for a lot of me and my friends. And this was the first time at 35. Again, I'd graduated college, but I was never really into self-development, self-improvement. That was like Tony Robbins was out there, and I knew him as probably some rah-rah guy, but I didn't understand how his technology, his information could help me improve my life. It wasn't until Coach Burt got in there that I started to think different, feel different, and it was really like an inspiring moment for me to take this information and implement it, and I started getting a little traction with it.
So I know he showed up in your life, and John was a part of why that showed up. But if you were telling someone today how to go out and choose a coach, what are some of the things you would be looking for?
Well, the first thing I would tell, this may not be answering your question, the first thing I would do is I would look for a mentor. I would look, there are too many people I think are looking at today's income. What can I make today? Well, I'm going to compare this opportunity and this opportunity only by which one pays me more. I mean, people have trained themselves, what's the most money I can get today? Well, you got to learn how to look into the future. What's going to help me get to where I want to in my life? Who's going to move this up? And John Jones was that person for me. My life is a lot easier because of John Jones, John Floyd. These people are in my life. But if I'm somebody and I'm looking for a coach, I think whoever resonates with you, who helps you become more motivated. I think a lot of that is a personality fit. A lot of people don't like my buddy Bert. for whatever reason. He's on Facebook on his airplane, and people get turned off by that. And so therefore they won't listen to his message. Another great coach for me, one of my first coaches, was Tony Woodall. I mean, whenever I was 34, he was helping me get through this awful breakup. So I've always looked up to coaches, and it goes back to my stepdad at the time was a high school football coach. I was around Coach Rankin. One of my heroes have always been coaches. So as I've gotten later into life, I know this is a long-winded answer. I've always been inspired by coaches. And I think different times in your life, this person could be a man or a woman. They may be a better fit for you than later in life or at a different time. So I think it depends on where you are and where you want to get to.
So it's amazing. Both guys, Tony Woodall, Michael Burth, both have had influence, right, over both our lives. Tony really pushed me into the fact of having the confidence to start First Shot. He came alongside me for a season, right, just like he did you. But that's what Tony's gift is encouraging people to do things out of their comfort zone. And you know, Tommy, I'm 21 years into this, and I'm still uncomfortable a little bit talking about First Shot. And you and I have talked about this. So I want to kind of shift and talk about why you do, what's your why in this. And first of all, tell people what that why is and why is it important.
I think that changes. There's different times where different things are important to you, and Bert wants to write this book called Screw Your Why, because sometimes we just don't know, but we're constantly looking for the reason why this motivates us. There was a time, like in my business, there was a time where my why was to become the most well-known real estate person in Murfreesboro. And that probably goes back to my childhood. I always wanted to be known, wanted to be popular. Well, that kind of helped inspire me to grow our business. But now my why is I want the business. I'm changing the business a little bit. The billboards are down. People can't hold that against me anymore. Everywhere you go on Broad Street, you see my billboards. I've taken them down. Now my why is how do we become more profitable? Because my wife, we want to eventually live in Florida for a good part of the time. So I think it changes. The most important thing is how do you find ways to consistently stay inspired and motivated?
Tommy, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Good Time Tommy right after this.
Life's too short to stress about insurance. That's why Ray Call at Rayburn Insurance is here to make sure you have the right coverage without all the hassle. He'll work hard to provide you with personalized service and finding the best solutions for you and your family. Whether you're looking for auto, home, or business insurance, Ray Call's got you covered. Ray Call at Rayburn Insurance Agency. Let him handle the details so you can focus on what really matters.
Did you know that participating in Murfreesboro's special census could help bring more funding to our city? Here's Murfreesboro Mayor Shane McFarland.
Cities throughout Tennessee receive approximately $175 per resident. Those dollars shared with us will greatly benefit our community.
Let's make sure Murfreesboro gets its true share. Complete the special census today at murfreesborocensus.com.
Count me in.
Okay, count me in.
And count me in too.
Let's make sure every resident counts. Visit murfreesborocensus.com.
If you want to get some barbecue, I'll tell you how to do it. Head for the Slick Pig and you're into it. Just walk through the door at 1920 East Main and your nose will send a message right to your brain. Say, smells good. And barbecue. Slick Pig. They got ribs and beans. Got spicy wings. Slick Pig.
A Murfreesboro tradition. 1920 East Main. You feel great at Adams Place.
Melanie teaches all of our exercise classes. I do the stretch and balance.
Alan Butcher.
Avis, our water aerobics instructor. It's really helped me to overcome some of my arthritis pain, and it's just a wonderful thing that we have here.
Hi,
Hi, this is Terry Deal at Adams Place. Call me for more information about Adams Place. Phone 615-904-9111.
Adams Place on Memorial across from Walmart.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
I've got pests, bees, buzzing, rodents running all through my house. Ants chewing wood, and look, there's a mouse. I'm overrun with pests, but you're gonna be sure, safe and secure. It's the last rites for those pests. Call the best of the best to get rid of your pests.
893-7111. AmeriCare Services Incorporated. Call us today. 893-7111.
WGNS reminds you to shop local. The community yard sale is this coming Saturday from 8 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. That's over in the Kittrell community at their Kittrell Community Park. This Saturday, 8 until 2. Saturday brings our final Main Street Saturday Marketplace. Don't miss that one. This Saturday from 8 until noon, all around the historic Rutherford County Courthouse. Also Saturday, Harvest Days at Cannonsburg, 10 until 4 this Saturday, and that's free. Something else that's free this Saturday, Trunk or Treat at the Bradyville Road Church of Christ. And Wine Around the Square is also Saturday. Ascension St. Thomas Rutherford Foundation presents its annual Wine Around the Square. And it all benefits the Power of Pink Fund to fight breast cancer. Just a reminder, early voting is going on right now through the end of the day this Thursday. And this weekend is when we fall back in time. Set your clock back this weekend. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
Sunny to partly cloudy this afternoon, high in the low 80s. Tonight, partly cloudy, low near 59, high of 81 on Tuesday. I'm meteorologist Laura Lockwood, on News Radio, WGNS. Right now, 53.
Broadcasting from the Middle Tennessee Electric Studios. MTE serves members with more than just electricity. Their community outreach team works with schools, parents, and students to provide engaging and unique learning experiences. MTE serving to make life better since 1936.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Welcome back into the Roundtable. I'm Andy Herzer, founder and executive director of First Shot. Just a little bit what's going on with First Shot right now. We are in our registration for our Winter League, ages 5 through 14, both boys and girls. We are already up to about 275 sign-ups. We only have 350 spots. So if you're looking to get your child into a Christ-centered winter basketball league, go to firstshottn.org. The second thing that we're starting, anyone that's listening, we are starting our Christmas campaign. We have about 75 kids that we would like to raise money for so that they have a little bit of hope and love at Christmas. And you can go on to firstshottn.org and you can contact me. $100 per kid, so we're looking to raise around $7,500. So I'd like to welcome back in a really good friend. He's meant a lot. He's done some things he and I have together with First Shot, but you made me think deeper about stuff. And I think that's one of your gifts, Tommy, is that you can affect others to sit and dive into, why did I do First Shot? And is it evolving and changing? Yes, just like you've evolved and changed. So again, going back, give some people besides, for me, I don't want a coach that thinks like me or acts like me. I want a coach that challenges me, that gets me uncomfortable. I want to squirm. All right, I don't want to sit in a church pew where I hear the same old thing, Tommy. So we might choose coaches differently based on where we are in our lives.
Yeah, I always resonate more with, because Coach Rankin was a hero of mine. I like the guys that are going to yell at me, because that does not melt me down. That makes me mad. And I'm somebody that operates a lot better when I'm mad. But you may not operate like that. Maybe you do. I'm an Indiana basketball player. Bobby Knight, I'm sure, was somebody you looked up to. I was a Bobby Knight fan. So I like somebody that gets me kind of internally a little chapped. Other people, they may not respond the same way. That's why I believe whenever you're coaching people, you can't treat everybody the same. You got to treat them the way that pushes their buttons. So I think that you kind of need to go on a journey and find out, like, whenever you're watching things, whatever it is, however you're watching it, if it's something that you like, there's a reason why you like that, because there's something inside of you that says, hey, I like that. And I think you need to explore and dig into that. So today there's with YouTube and all the social outlets out there, there's so many different ways you can begin your journey with being coached. But then I think it has to eventually, for you to really grow, you got to start spending time and money into coaching. I believe you don't get the same benefit.
So I look at a lot of it because I've been around, did the mortgage, right? Had coaches come in, Rick Ruby, Kendra's, right? Had different people. Same way with you. And I always found it interesting, being a former coach, how little people truly buy into all of it. How if you're going to coach and be coached and spend all that money and only do a third of it or half of it, you're going to have half the results, aren't you?
Right.
So how do you get them to flip that to go 100% in?
You know, I don't know if you can get them to do it. Coach Bird has a book and a concept called Pray Drive. And one of the things that I try to do every single year is I take my team to Florida. And I try to get a real nice place. I mean, these are very expensive places. And my accountant, my CPA may say, why are you doing this? But one of the times I remember being exposed to something is when I went down to 30A. One of my best friends had bought a place down there, Scott Nagy. He retired. If you're ever on 30A, he lives right next door to the Trump House. And I'm down there, and I see this. So Coach refers to this being exposed to something. I don't know if I can push and challenge you to change, but maybe I can show you something that inspires you to change. And down there, that was one of the first places where I'm like, man, this is where I'd like to be. I'd like to be down here. Well, if that was the end result and I'm working backwards from there, what would it take to have a place down there? It would take money. So I kind of work back there, and that helps me stay motivated. I think if you want to grow, you've got to constantly stay engaged in something that challenges you every day.
So with this, Conzo Martin was one of our speakers. His mom from East St. Louis, one of the roughest areas in our house, in our United States of America. She was a housekeeper for some of the rich people in St. Louis, and she would take her son and daughter to see these houses. And she would tell them, this is where you can live one day. Well, fast forward, Conzo Martin can live anywhere in the world now, right? Been a big-time college basketball coach, still making millions of dollars. So his mother inspired him for what you're saying. So different things inspire us, Tommy.
Right.
So when you're on your team, it may not be for somebody. Somebody just may want to be able to say they sold 50 sides.
That'd be a lot.
I know, but somebody might, you know, some big number, right? I know that would be a lot, but somebody might want to make $250,000. It might be different goals.
That's right. That's right.
So how do you understand what your team wants and desires?
I do. I could probably do a much better job of getting with them and doing an individual one-on-one thing, but I know I'm good enough to know what they want. And I don't think if you just keep banging on people, if they don't want it for them, they're not going to want it for you. So I used to try to push harder, but now it just kind of disconnects us. And what I try to do is find a new way to inspire them, like going down to Florida and staying in a $10 million house. And you see these things, it just kind of makes you feel better. So I think whenever you train every day and you learn how to communicate, it does give you confidence to go out there and take on more action. So I'm really shifting more to how do I inspire versus how do I push, because I don't think you can keep pushing, and I don't think there's a long shelf life there.
So when you're saying push versus inspire, what does that look like?
Well, let's just say if I said, Andy, I want you to hit this target. This is the target I created for you. But what if you really don't want that? But what if you just wanted like your life and you want to be happy? I need to go to where you are. I need to find a way to help you have your own better life, not a better life for me. So I want to inspire people to have the life they want. I've got the life I want, and it may not be the same as the life you want. And today, I think most people are most interested in themselves, not they're them centric. So I just got to the message of doing this for me, it don't work. I don't think. I think people will eventually leave you, or they're not going to continue to follow that.
So you have a ton of young people working for you. We're of a different generation. So what is it, how you relate to this new generation versus guys our age, like what you've mentioned?
A lot of the guys and the girls there, a lot of them do have a little something in them that wants to be coached hard, because it is, if you were to come over there and look at us versus other places, it's definitely a lot harder over there where we are. And I think our people take a lot of pride in it being hard. So there's a little something in me that they like, that they see, that's inside of themselves. So most of them are former athletes. We do have one perfect kid, Eli. I don't know if he's ever done anything wrong in his life. But the other people are more like me, where they've been knocked down, they've had some setbacks, so they relate to that story of mine.
So Tommy, we've talked a little bit about that story of yours. You unsuccessful at the financial world, weren't very good when you started in this business. Again, was it out of desperation, or was it just you were sick and tired of being sick and tired? I
think whenever we know we're running out of time, there's something called urgency. Urgency starts to change things. And one of my closest friends, his name is Tim Dutton, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to Timmy, a very slow talking country boy. And he said, Tommy, I hear you what you want, but let me tell you, brother, you're 35, you're running out of time. And there was two crucial moments in my life where I made the decision about, hey, we're going to get more serious. That was one. And the other time was when Bert was entering a guy named Grant Cardone. This was the first time that I'd ever heard of Cardone. This was probably in 2012 or 13. That's how far it goes back.
Tell our audience who he is a little bit, Tommy, because a lot of people may not know.
Well, Grant Cardone, he was a car salesman turned sales coach, and now he's a mega real estate investor, huge social media presence. But I got into him through the sales coaching, through Bert. But at this particular time, he's a nobody to me. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to his message. And at this time, I'm probably 38 years old, living with my mom. And my mom's very important to me. She pretty much raised me. My dad died at an early age. And he was talking about success and how success is your duty. It's your obligation. And that sounds good, but he went deeper. And he said, if you can't be successful for you, because most of us are selfish, and I could live with failure. It didn't bother me. But he said this: if you can't do it for you, do it for somebody you love. Do it for your wife. Do it for your husband. Do it for your mom. And when he said that, I'm sitting there, I'm 38 years old, and I kind of tear up because I'm thinking, I know my mom loves me. I'm her only child. She's got to love me. But how, I mean, if we were to really think about this, how could she be proud of a 38-year-old dude living at home? And that was one of those moments that triggered, as Coach talks about, this prey drive, this instinct that took over about, I'm going to become a lot better at what I do. I still don't just love selling real estate, but I am very, very interested in becoming the best version of me. And that was a triggering moment to where I'm going to get a lot better at this. That comment, do it for your mom. That was a huge moment for me.
And I look back and I can, you know, we all see people make really, I call it flips almost.
Right.
In your life, Tommy. I mean, I saw this flip and it was fun to watch the evolution. Mm-hmm. And now even the continued evolution of where you're going, Tommy, and why. I think for me, you've done a great job of branding. And I know you asked me one time, what did you think about your nickname, Good Time Tommy? Mm-hmm. I said, I like it. And I said, and I'm going to tell you why, to this day, I still like it. Because being around Tommy is good, and you're going to have a good time. Growing and learning. See, I think it can be, people can say all they want, Tommy, about anything, but if they want to be serious, they need to come and grow with a guy like you.
Well, I appreciate that. I want to clear that. Good Time Tommy, from a guy like you said it earlier out there, kind of a fraternity kid at 32, 33 years old, didn't take myself very serious. So Good Time Tommy, it's not about a guy that's still in the bar, but Tommy was known for being in the bar and having a lot of fun. So it's kind of the message almost makes perfect sense that it's me talking about how much fun I have. But in reality, Good Time Tommy, Tony Woodall told me to do this lesson. He was like, right where you are and right where you want to be. And where I currently was, remember, I'm living with my mom. I'm going broke. I'm like every broken part that a human could have, not just money, my confidence, my belief, the way everything I felt was like going bankrupt. Tommy Davidson did not have the confidence to switch and become this person that he wanted to become. But Good Time Tommy, this superhero that I had within, was created to shift from a dude living with his mom to living where I live now. I mean, it took this Good Time Tommy hero. And I believe every one of us had this within us. It's not just me, but he was my Superman.
So when you look back, and again, I think it's one of Tony Woodall's greatest gift is get you to see it in a very different light than what mainly most people may see that nickname as.
Yep.
See, now we see it as a superhero that lives in with all of us, and all of us have this.
That's right.
And I think that's why you have to have coaching, so that it can bring it out, and by encouragement, by even a little push too.
Yeah.
It's a multiple of ways that we coach, you and I, and I think to inspire people, and you've inspired a lot of people, I think, and I think you need to give yourself a whole lot of credit in this market, especially, to be still surviving. It's been a long 18 months for y'all, hasn't it?
I think it's been about 28 months or 28 years, it feels like. But, the thing that still, what I like to see is the people that are around us and their life is getting better. So that's something that still feeds me. I still feel really good about that. And I'm very thankful that these guys that are there and the girls, they fought through this and they're sticking with us. So that means a whole lot to me.
So do you think you have to be passionate about what you're doing to be successful at it?
No. I know that's probably not true in everybody's opinion, but I do think you've got to be passionate about something. I want to be the best version of me, and this is what I do. So if I get really, really good at strategy, coaching, just becoming better at everything that I do, real estate is just a business. But being a leader, that was something that it inspired me to, how do I help these other people? So do you have to be passionate? It's a lot easier. You know, I'm a passionate, diehard Notre Dame football fan, but I don't know how I could monetize that. I don't know how I can buy a place in Florida for my wife with Notre Dame football. So you don't have to be, no. But you got to be willing to do things you don't want to do.
How many people you think that you've been around are really, really willing to do things they don't want to do? And you mentioned something, and I wanted to get back to it. Doing the grind of the mundane stuff. I say it all the time when I'm coaching. You got to fall in love with the mundane, simple drills to get really good at basketball. Mm-hmm. And the ones that get really, really good at basketball, they do the little things every day.
You hear this a lot. I mean, success is very boring, but we're constantly looking for a magic strategy or a magic action that's going to change. And the secret is, how long can you sit there and keep doing these things? As Coach calls it, just a long obedience in the same direction. Saban's process that he stole from Dr. Elko. The process about, you're going to come in here and you're going to do these things, and we're not going to worry about the results, and it's just how long is it going to take. It's just how long it's going to take.
Well, we're going to take our final break of the day and come right back with Good Time Tommy.
My whole identity had been wrapped up in being a soldier. To have that so violently ripped from me when I was wounded, I was lost for a very long time. When Wounded Warrior Project came into my life, being around the other warriors, people that had similar experiences that I did, it was a game changer for me. Having King join the group, that was the beginning of a really good friendship. It's a good time.
I first heard about Wounded Warrior Project through CQ. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know if I qualify. But having been a part of it, it's kind of taught me that it's not just the wounds that you can see, but it's those that you can't.
When you do something like a peer support group with Wounded Warrior Project and come together from different walks of life, man, the growth is incredible. If not for Wounded Warrior Project, I really don't think that I'd be here today.
See how we help warriors combat stigma at woundedwarriorproject.org/combat stigma.
Parents, you can help your child sharpen their basketball skills while also encouraging positive spiritual change with First Shot Basketball Skills Academy and Winter League. Sign-ups are happening now. Led by Coach Andy Herzer, this teaching league is designed to build strong foundations not just for athletics, but for life. If your child is between 5 and 14 years old, they can participate at Hooptown this winter. Don't wait. Spots are filling up fast. For more information and to sign up, visit firstshottn.org. That's firstshottn.org.
This is Pastor Nikki Ajapong, lead pastor of Holy Hill Chapel in Murfreesboro.
Here are sermons on WGNS every Sunday night at 7:30.
Extending the love of God.
Reviving the community at Holy Hill Chapel, TN.org.
At Bud's Tire Pros, we sell all major brands of tires, and we invite you to stop by today for that next set of tires. Or maybe you need us to check out your vehicle before you head out of town. We offer everything from brakes to batteries, alignments, and more. No appointments necessary, just stop on by.
I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
All right, guys, if you're only middle-aged but wondering why it seems harder to keep up, you're not alone. It may be caused by low testosterone. Testosterone therapy, or TRT, can help you get back to your best. But not just any TRT, not those websites offering only basic treatments. You have to see the provider specialist at Low T Center. They offer advanced personalized treatments with over a decade of experience. At Low T Center, you'll start with a simple test and get your results in about 25 minutes. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment online. lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Efficient 3-bedroom, 3-bath home located in the highly sought-after Black Fox Crossing neighborhood.
Enjoy the convenience of 2 primary suites and a 2-car garage. Recent updates include new flooring in the living areas and bedrooms, as well as fresh paint throughout. This home comes fully equipped with appliances, including a washer-dryer and an extra fridge in the garage. For more information, call Chip Walters at Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, 615-542-1915.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Welcome back into WGNS and the Roundtable. I'm Andy Herzier, founder and executive director of First Shot. We're going to shift gears because one of both our passions is sports, obviously. Football this year, to me, college football, is in a unbelievably unprecedented, fun place to be with all the upsets. Vanderbilt being ranked, being relevant. Talk about, I know how you became a Notre Dame football fan.
In 1983, a lot of I think all their games were replayed on Sundays on ESPN, and one of the things we did have was cable TV, so I got to watch all of their games on Sunday. And then Lou Holtz came to Notre Dame in like 86, I think was his first year there. And again, I don't know why, I've always been drawn to coaches. He was a little guy that was just I just had so much interest in him. And then by year 3, they won a national championship in 1988. And I've been a hooked Notre Dame fan, just a cursed Notre Dame fan since 1986, really. So
Tommy, the landscape, Power 4 now, Notre Dame survive outside of the Power 4 in football?
As long as they win. I mean, they got to be able to recruit. They got to be able to win. And they can't get beat by the Northern Illinois out there and keep the respect. So they went to Texas A&M first game. They won down there. That helps them. So they're not going to have the same amount of opportunities week in and week out to show the world they're a legit team. So for now, I think they can. But what if they go 11-1 this year and they get shut out of the playoffs? Could happen. Don't think it will, but it could.
So looking at the rest of it, now going from 5 power conferences to 4 super conferences,
Mm-hmm.
What do you think changes for college football that way?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that go along with that. The portal, the NIL, a lot of things. And then there's going to be unintended consequences of all this. The NIL, it looks good, but does it destroy teams? The good thing, like Notre Dame is a team that looks like they're going to be left behind during this era, but things always find a way to work itself back out. What if this is actually, we say in 5 or 10 years, this was the best thing in modern day football that happened to Notre Dame, because Notre Dame can't take, you can transfer into Notre Dame after your freshman year or after a graduate. Now they can lose players, so it makes them more selective in who they can bring in. So if you're coming in and you want a big NIL deal, they're probably not going to take you. What if this is the perfect time for Notre Dame to become more relevant with the right coach there? So we'll see how it works out.
I always think, though, it's just like for any business, for any, I've talked about this. We had a group of 5 guys that we'd get together and we'd talk about our business, and it's about attracting the right people on your team. Mm-hmm. And with that, you have to be able to identify talent. So I think there's a lot of guys out there. We had one here in basketball, Bruce Stewart. He was phenomenal at looking at a guy and forecasting where he could be 2-3 years down the road. I'm not so sure, Tommy, if coaches have that luxury anymore. What do you think?
I think there's a lot of pressure on coaches to have top recruiting classes. And maybe you're bringing in people that don't fit. Maybe you're just trying to load up your all-star team. But some teams, Look at the Army and Navy. They were both ranked at one time. Notre Dame beat Navy pretty good this year. But in college basketball, you saw Butler get to the Final Four. Should they get to the Final Four? I think one and done was becoming popular. So what if college football starts to look like college basketball? I guess there's 2-year requirements now, but with where you can transfer in and out of these programs, you got to get this NIL money. What if this actually starts to hurt some of the big guys? Alabama's, Clemson is a program that's not doing that. I mean, Dabo, I don't think he wanted to take any. He wants to build his culture. So what if you do see a shift to where Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame? They have like 40 seniors on that team. They've been together a long time. So what if the teams that can eliminate the chaos, the turnover, get the right people there, what if it's time for those kind of programs to start back winning? I think that was one of the reasons why Nick Saban retired, is he couldn't keep doing that.
So I look at my cousin who's the head coach at Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
They test everybody that comes in. He has used the portal and lost less to the portal than anybody else. Now, when you say that, he lost 2 this year, but they were post-grads. They'd already been 5 years there, got their master's degree, and still had 1 left because of COVID.
Yep.
So for them to be able to go experience, I don't think that's but he uses it the least. He may have 1 a year that he'll bring in, but I think he has taken that test to have kids that fit his culture and his system.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't fit in, they don't recruit them. So I think you'll see a lot more of that shift. People are going to figure
I'm sure
it
it's
out.
tough if you can get a guy or a girl. I mean, we're talking about guys here, college football guys. But if you can get somebody and they're a great player, but you're questioning if they should be there, it's probably hard to not take these great players. But one great player, it takes a lot more than one great player to win it all.
Well, I think you can look at that out at Colorado. They're good. They're 5-2. But are they great? Are they in that conversation?
Can they be great with so many me's there? You know, there's a lot of me's beginning at the top.
He's fun to listen to, though.
And, I mean, what I like most about Deion Sanders, because I do want to end on some other stuff that I wanted to say. The way he walked in there and he believed when there was nothing to believe in, that inspired me. His talk, I'm coming. I don't know if you listen to this.
I do.
But, I mean, they were terrible, and he came in there, and it's his faith. It's really his faith that he made these bold statements. And, you know, I'm cheering for him more this year than I did last year, because I don't believe in somebody coming in and overnight turning a program. I just don't think that's believable. But if you can show me you're willing to do the work for a few years, I'm going to be your cheerleader.
So, Tommy, you say you want to end on a few things.
I do, because you said you were talking about I don't like to have a conversation and just talk about the good stuff, because that ain't the reality. The last couple of years, this has been the hardest time during the successful part of my year or my life. I've lost people I didn't think I was going to lose. Me and John started a mortgage company that didn't make it. I've tried other things. I have failed so many times. And when you think of successful people and you just look at this successful journey, but I've lost a lot of confidence over the last 2 years. I mean, I don't feel like I can go around and say some of the things that I was saying, because internally I've got a little doubt going on. But my dreams are still as bright as they ever were. So if you're somebody and you have lost or you're struggling, that's just part of it. The winners are the people that can take these punches and they just keep getting back up. I've had a lot of punches. I've been blindsided. I've been knocked down. And it gets hard. It gets harder and harder, it feels like, to keep getting back up. But I think there's just part of me, I'm getting back up and I don't even realize it. So I just didn't want to come in here and talk about things that have been great for me, because my family life, all that stuff, that has been great. I've got a great wife. I'm very lucky there. And like whenever I go to her and I'm having this pity party, she's like, she don't know who that person is. So I've got a great person at home. But if you're somebody out there and it's been a tough year, it's okay. That does not define what's going to happen to you. That's all I wanted to I meant to say that earlier.
So when you look at it, I have one thing that at First Shot, after we open up, I ask them what's my job, and they'll tell you to love them. Not to change them, Tommy, just to love them right where they are. Mm-hmm. The second thing is I only have one rule, and that is don't be afraid to make mistakes. I think we have come into this where we're so fearful of that mistake leads to a failure that we can't get back up. And I don't know why we fear so much, but we do, all of us. And so it's normal when things are a struggle, but the beauty of you, I think, is that you get back up and you keep fighting.
Well, I'm not afraid to fail. You know, I mean, I say a lot of dumb things, I ask a lot of dumb questions, I have a lot of dumb ideas that I'll do. But, man, it only takes one thing to change your life. It just takes being right one time. And Mark Zuckerberg or some of these people that were right one time, one big hit, it can completely change it. It doesn't matter how many times you had a bad idea.
Well, again, I want to thank Tommy Davison, also known as Good Time Tommy. He's been a great friend, a great supporter of First Shot. You guys, again, you can go to...
I mean, you can follow me, Good Time Tommy, on Facebook or Good Time Tommy D on Instagram.
And again, I think you guys will understand that this is a guy that grinds it out even in tough times. And he's just a great person. He gives more than he takes. And again, Tommy, I want to thank you for coming in and being on my show.
Well, thank you, Coach. It's a pleasure being here.